You're probably using Quicken incorrectly. Seriously, most people don't realize how different Quicken Online and Desktop actually are. One is fast and flexible, the other is detailed and powerful. But which one actually helps you grow your wealth? I dug deep into Quicken Online versus Desktop, and here's the real difference that most users don't figure out until it's too late. But whenever I'm testing software that handles my personal finances, I don't just rely on feature lists or glossy landing pages. I go hunting for what users actually experience. And with both Quicken Online and Quicken Desktop, I dug into not just the 5-star reviews, but the angry 1-stars too, because that's often where the real story hides. Let's start with Quicken Online. One user flat out said, "I don't use any online features. I should not have to pay $100 per year." That complaint is fair on the surface, but here's what I noticed. Most users don't seem to realize how much of Quicken Online is tied to syncing, automation, and integrated tools like Simplify. If you're not using those features, sure, it can feel overpriced, but if you actually want hands-off budget tracking, cloud sync, or mobile access in general, that $100 suddenly looks more like a time saver than a burden. Also, I didn't even see that type of complaint popping up repeatedly. This just sounds more like someone who was using the wrong version for their needs, not someone who got scammed. Now, on the flip side, many users swear by the Quicken Online version. One user mentioned that after switching from PC to a Mac Mini, things clicked into place and the app started working flawlessly. Another longtime user, someone who's been using Quicken since 1992, actually said that it's the first time they've given it an excellent review. After decades of bouncing between frustrations and feature gaps, they finally feel like Quicken Online delivered what they've been waiting for. But it wouldn't be a fair comparison or review without digging into Quicken Desktop too. One user here had a legit gripe. He highlighted that the Quicken Desktop version is very slow on his computer. He created an archive last year and it got quicker for a short period, but every time he switched accounts or did a search, it takes like 30 to 60 seconds to load. And yeah, I've felt that slow down myself. But here's the thing. That kind of performance issue usually comes down to how much data is being loaded, how fast the internet is, what kind of data it is. This particular user had 7 years worth of transaction across business and personal accounts. That's a pretty heavy load for any software. The good news, most users won't even run into this unless they're storing years of data without archiving. And just like with the online version, desktop users have a lot of praise too. One review I read came from someone who's tried several other tools but always found their way back to Quicken Desktop app, mostly because of how it handles investments in detail. Another user said that he's been impressed with all of the new updates and performance boosts, pointing out that it's clearly not an abandoned product. And that's important. When software keeps evolving, that's usually a good sign. Now, let's dig into what these platforms actually do, because this is where it stops being about looks and starts being about what actually makes your financial life easier. Let's kick it off with Quicken Online, starting with Quicken Simplify. So this version is all about ease, automation, and being available wherever you are. It runs in your browser, so there's no need to install anything, and the syncing across devices is pretty fast and clean. What really stands out with the online version of Quicken is the LifeHub. I didn't really think I'd care about this feature at first, but it hit me how useful it is when trying to prep important info for your family or business partners. It's a secure digital vault where you can store key financial details so your loved ones aren't scrambling if something ever happens to you. It's one of those things you hope you never need, but feel better having. Now, if you're a freelancer or run a small business like I do, Quicken Online's business and personal version give you a dashboard that actually kind of makes sense. It's got your personal and business finances side by side, but not all tangled up. You can keep things clean without losing sight of the bigger picture. The tax categorization tools just alone saved me, I think, hours at tax time. And then there's Simplify's day-to-day tools, expense tracking, goal setting, smart alerts. They're all snappy, visual, and actually pretty fun to use. I found myself checking my dashboard a lot more and making better decisions just because the info was always just right there when I needed it. Now let's look into what you get with Quicken for Desktop. Now the Quicken Desktop software is a powerhouse, especially if you like to get really detailed with your money. There's a reason it's been around for decades. Whether you're using the Classic Deluxe, Classic Premier, or Classic Business and Personal, the desktop version digs deep. When I used the Classic Business and Personal edition on my Mac, I noticed how smooth the performance was, especially now that it's optimized for Apple Silicon processors. Everything from income reports to expense tracking felt just faster. And the tax tools, way more detailed than most online platforms I've tried. It's got reports for just about everything: profit and loss, cash flow, net worth, tax schedules, and it's all customizable. So I created my own views so that I could quickly spot what I was working on, what was actually functioning for me and what wasn't, how I was working on things. Plus, just being able to organize financial documents right inside the platform saved me from hunting through folders come tax season. Many hours of time saved. It was really worth it. So here's the trade-off though. Quicken Online is the fast, modern, and accessible anywhere version. That's what that is. But Quicken Desktop is the deep, robust, and it's the version that's made for serious users who want control and precision. So depending on your workflow and how involved you want to be, one might click better than the other. But okay, let's just talk about their downsides for a second, because while they're packed with exciting tools for managing your finances, they're not perfect. With Quicken Online, the main drawback I noticed is that it's a bit leaner in terms of historical data analysis. You get this really clean interface and daily use tools, but if you're trying to run super granular reports across multiple years, it can feel a bit limited. But for most people, especially those looking for everyday money management, that's not even a deal breaker. Now, Quicken Desktop, as we saw earlier, the app can slow down a bit when you've got years of data to pile in, but that's also kind of expected with any platform pulling in thousands of records. Once I created an archive and set my file to open on a limited data range, it sped up a lot. It's really just about managing expectations and using the tools the way that they're meant to be used. And when it comes to cost, both online Quicken and desktop Quicken are reasonably priced, especially considering how much time and financial clarity they offer. I'd say Quicken Online might be a little bit more budget-friendly upfront for the casual users, while the desktop version gives you more value over time for advanced users who need those deeper reports and the tax optimization. But here's the exciting part. Quicken does roll out new bundles and seasonal promos and discount deals, so check the links in the description of this video for their recent pricing plan and any available promo or discount. We keep that link updated with any active discounts or bundles, so you're not overpaying if there's a deal running. If you want fast, intuitive money tracking from pretty much anywhere, Quicken Online is hard to beat. But if you're someone who geeks out on reports, tax data, or investment performance, Quicken Desktop still delivers where others fall short. Personally, I lean toward Quicken Online for the simplicity and mobile access, but I totally get why power users stick with desktop. Check the link in the description of this video to get started with our special discount and coupon.